Hi, Hi everyone. Welcome to Flying Start Family Daycare's workshop regarding Quality Area 1 Educational Program and Practice. Today, what we're going to do is go through the elements and the standards of the National Quality Framework. And we're going to talk about how our service achieves each element in the National Quality Framework. So this is the first quality area of the 7 quality areas: educational, program, and practice. As you can see, you know what the ratings are for each quality area. On the left, the red one, I've made the colors myself. Red is significant improvement required. That's the worst rating you can get. That's bad. I put the word bad at the top. Then if you are achieving something in the quality area, they give you working towards, which is not bad. And if you are doing good in the quality area, they give you meeting. And if you're doing excellent in the quality area, they'll give you exceeding. So there are 3 standards in this quality area. The first one is program, the second one is practice, and the third one is assessment and planning. Currently, our service is rated working towards, which is not bad. However, we want to at least achieve meeting, which is a good rating. So we have introduced a few small changes to our educational program and practice so that we can have a better chance of getting meeting. Now, Flying Start Family Daycare had an assessment and rating last time in around 2017. Some of you might have been here, some of you were not. But we are expecting to have another assessment and rating from the department, if not this year, early next year. So this presentation will show you what kind of changes we've made to educational program and practice so that we can get meeting, we can improve our rating. Now also, there's 2 kinds of educational program and practice. One is for preschool, one is for school kids. So this presentation will mainly be for preschool, and then we will do another presentation for school kids. So for those of you who are looking after preschool children, you can continue to watch this presentation. If you look after school children, then you don't need to watch this one. You can watch the other one, which is for school children. Okay, first standard is 1.1, program. So there are 3 elements to this. The approved learning framework, which is your outcomes. You do activities relating to the outcomes, and you know where the outcomes are. It's in your scrapbook, or it's in your portfolio in the first page. And the outcomes are written by the government. The second element is called child-centered, which means that and the third element is called program learning opportunities. Okay, so this is the first element. It's called approved learning framework. It says curriculum decision-making contributes to each child's learning and development outcomes in relation to their identity, connection with community, well-being, confidence as learners, and effectiveness as communicators. So if assessor or assessment and rating officers, they come to you, they will check this element and they will see if you're achieving this element. So how can we achieve this element? First of all, what we have is our programming book. In our programming book, you can see the middle section has all the outcomes. Outcome 1, outcome 2, 3, 4, and 5 for each kind of activity. So all of you are already filling this in every month for your monthly programming. So this helps you to achieve the first element. If you can make sure that your activities are linked to the correct outcomes, then you will be achieving the first element of the quality area 1. Also, we have something else that you do. In the actual portfolio, you're going to have the outcomes like this. This is called Belonging, Being and Becoming, Early Learning Years Framework for Australia. And this is learning outcome for children birth to 5. So you'll have each outcome, outcome 1, outcome 2, 3, 4, and 5 in your portfolio. And when you do your observation, you always mention which outcomes were achieved in that activity. And all of you are doing that already. So this also helps you to achieve the first element for each child's portfolio. Now, to help you link the outcomes, to the activities, you have a resource with you with all the outcomes in it. It's called like the Early Years Learning Framework. Inside that booklet, you'll see these pages. So these pages have the whole outcome title. You can see the title here, outcome 1, children have a strong sense of identity. Then it has each outcome under that. So outcome 1.1, children feel safe, secure, and supported, for example. And then what you'll see is each separate outcome has a little table. As you can see here, children feel safe, secure, and supported. And then the table has examples of how you can achieve this outcome. So for example, you can see the first point says, this is evident, for example, when children build secure attachments with one and then more familiar educators. And then you can see on the right side, educators promote this learning, for example, when they, and then it says acknowledge and respond sensitively to children's cues and signals, respond sensitively to children's attempts to initiate interactions and conversations, and support children's secure attachment through consistent and warm nurturing relationships. So this table will give you a lot of assistance and guidance to link your outcomes to your activities, and also to develop activities which are related to the outcomes. So all of you have access to this. If you don't, you can contact us and ask us. We will email these PDFs to you. And it's just a resource for your assistance to help you to link your activities to the outcomes. Okay, that's the first element, approved learning framework. Second element is called child-centered. Each child's current knowledge, strengths, ideas, culture, abilities, and interests are the foundation of the program. So this element is about each child and the program. So what the government wants is that when you do your programming, you're not just making up activities which are not related to the children. Sometimes your activities should be related to the kids. What are the kids' knowledge? What are their strengths? What are their ideas? What is their culture? What are their abilities? And what are their interests? So let's see how we implement this in our service. First of all, for children's interests, we already have one section of the portfolio of the okay, so for child's interests, all of you complete this chart every month. you record the children's names and their interests. So that is only one part of this element. You can see in this element, the last word at the end says interests. But what about the first 5 things? Knowledge, strengths, ideas, culture, and abilities. For these things, we've introduced something to the portfolio. At the beginning of the portfolio, there is a profile section of the child. The first page has a child's name, date of birth, and picture of the child. And then we have one page for the child's knowledge. So when you enroll a child, you can record any of the child's knowledge here. They might know some topics, they might know some different subjects, or they might know something basic. Because you're looking after children under 5, maybe they know some numbers, some colors, they might know some few words. It's up to you what you want to write here. Just write something about the child's knowledge. And every month when you do the activities, the child's knowledge might increase. So you can add to here. Then there's my strengths. So each child might have different strengths. Some children are good at talking, some are good at drawing, some are good at running, some are good at building, Play-Doh, counting. They could have lots of different strengths. So you should write their strengths here. When you enroll the child, you can write what strengths they have. And every month or after a few months, if you notice any new strengths, you can also add it there too. Then children's ideas. Maybe they have some ideas for playing, some ideas for activities. You can write their ideas there sometimes. Their culture. Obviously, each child has a culture. You can write that when they enroll. And maybe you can write about their culture, what events they have, what activities they have, what food or clothes they have. My abilities. So this is where you write the child's abilities. I can crawl, I can walk, I can talk, I can count to 10, I can say ABC. You can write any abilities here. I can draw, I can jump. And then interests. These are the child's personal interests here. You can write. So this portfolio section is where you record personal information about the child. And you can see each of these words, it comes from the element in the National Quality Framework. Each child's current knowledge, strengths, ideas, culture, abilities, and interests are the foundation of the program. Then when you are doing the activities, making activities for the months, you can include something related to the child's personal information. Now, you don't have to write a lot of things here. You just have to write a few things here, and you can add anytime you want. It's up to you. We will just check it sometimes, but it's best not to leave it empty. So if you put information here, then we can get meeting at least for this element, 1.1.2. Okay, next element is program learning opportunities. All aspects of the program, including routines, are organized in ways that maximize opportunities for each child's learning. This element, we already have meeting, and we don't have any new procedure to implement this element because this element doesn't need any documents. It's just about how you organize your service, how you organize your activities. And it's just about making sure you do activities which your children can learn from. So all of you are doing this already, and we're doing very well in this. Just keep up the good work. All right, next standard is 1.2 practice. This also has 3 elements. The first element is intentional teaching. The second element is responsive teaching. And the third element is child-directed learning. So the first element says educators are deliberate, purposeful, and thoughtful in their decisions and actions. So this means that your decisions and actions, you should do it with a good reason. Like everything you do should have a good reason. And always the reason is for the children to learn something. So you make decisions which are beneficial for the kids so they learn something. The second element is responsive teaching and scaffolding. It says educators respond to children's ideas and play and extend children's learning through open-ended questions, interactions, and feedback. So the last three words there are very important. It says open-ended questions, interactions, and feedback. So this is about how you talk to the children. You ask them something, you listen to their answer, and then you give them some reply. So this conversation with the children can help the children to learn. And the third element is child-directed learning. Each child's agency is promoted, enabling them to make choices and decisions that influence events and their world. So this element is about letting the child make some decisions. So let them make a choice. So this promotes their agency. So the child can feel like they have some control. Now these three elements that we just looked at, we have a new section of the portfolio to achieve this element. So when we go to the portfolio, now the portfolio observations, there's some sections that you're already doing and there's some new sections. So this first page, learning story, analysis of learning outcomes, you're already doing that. Planning and photos, you're also already doing that. Now this is a new section. It's just one page. And this section is for the three elements which we just looked at. You can see the first one has a heading, intentional teaching. The second one has a heading, open-ended questions, interactions, and feedback. And the third one has a heading, child's agency. So what you have to do, you can read the top of this. You choose only one section below and write an example for this month. So every month, when you write your observation, you just have to choose one of these three boxes and just write one example. You just need to write one example per month. Let's look at some examples here. The first box says intentional teaching. What you have to write, give an example where you made a decision so that children could learn something. Explain what decision you made and what you intended the children to learn. Now we have given you two little examples there, so you can look at them and use that as a guidance to help you think of your own example that you can write each month. So the first example there, it says, I asked him to give me 3 blocks. When he gave me 3 blocks, I said, good, that's 3 blocks. So maybe the kids can learn how to count. Another example is, when I cut my finger, I asked the children, what should I do now? Then after they gave me answers, I explained to them the first aid response. So this is something you can write. You write an example of something you did with the intention for the children to learn. Okay, let's look at another box, the other box. The other box is called open-ended questions, interactions, and feedback. Give an example of an open question you asked the children. What was their response and how did you reply? So the word open question, it means you ask them something that they can give you lots of kinds of answers. For example, look at the example here we wrote. It says, I asked, what can we do with the bucket? He said, we can get water to water the plants. I said, yes, that's a great idea. What else can we do? He said, we can make a sandcastle. I said, how do we do that? So you see these questions, what can we do with the bucket? The kids can give lots of kinds of answers. That's called open question. So the government likes to see you're asking the kids open questions because it lets the child to think more, and the child can give you different answers, so the child can learn more. And when the child gives you an answer, you have to also build on their answers. Ask them another question, make them think even more. So once a month, if you want, you can write an example of this. Sometimes maybe you can do an example of the top one, and then next month you can do an example of the middle one. So each month something different. It's up to you. And the last box is child's agency. Give an example where you allow the children to make their own decision. An example we wrote there, I let her choose if she wants to read a book or play a game. She chose to play a game, so I let her choose which game, and she chose Guess Who. So this is just an example where you allow the child to make a decision or make a choice. So this page has 3 sections. Every month you pick one section and you write one example. And this will help us to get a good rating in this standard 1.2 practice. All right, let's go to the next standard, assessment and planning. There are 3 elements here: assessment and planning cycle, critical reflection, and information for families. Okay, now the next standard, we have some new sections of the portfolio for each of these elements. The first element is called assessment and planning cycle. Each child's learning and development is assessed or evaluated as part of an ongoing cycle of observation, analyzing learning, documentation, planning, implementation, and reflection. So all of these things we are already doing. You can see it says observation, analyzing learning, documentation, planning, implementation, and reflection. So we do all of these things except for reflection. We don't do much of reflection. So let's see what our portfolio looks like and what we can add to it so that we achieve some reflection. So currently our portfolio has learning story, that's the observation. We've just added a little instructions there you can see in gray under title. It says write about the activity and what did the child do. That's the observation. Then we have analysis of learning, where you write what did the child learn in this activity. So you can see those are 2 different things. One is saying what did the child do, and the second one is what did the child learn. Purple box, you write what they did. Green box, you write what did they learn. Then the next page is planning. What will we do in future? Maybe 1 or 2 photos over here. So for reflection, we have a new section here. This section you're not going to do once a month. You're going to do every 3 months, this section, reflection. There's 3 questions. The first question is, how has the child been progressing over the last 3 months? Write about their behavior, participation, and interaction with children. So you can write here that, yes, they're doing very well the last 3 months. They're joining all the activities. How is their behavior? Their behavior is good, or maybe their behavior has not been good. You just write here whatever whatever you see of the child. Second question, did they improve in anything? And third question, do they need help with anything? So these three sections, you will just do these three questions in this green box. You will do once every 3 months, and that's the reflection of the child's progress. Also, there's a yellow box you will do once every 3 months. It says allow the child to write what they think, what they feel, what they wish about the educational program, or allow them to draw a picture. So because you're looking after preschool children, then you're just going to maybe let them scribble something or draw a picture over here. So we know that the kids, they already do a lot of drawing, a lot of writing in their activities. So, but this is their portfolio. So we also want them to do something on their portfolio, maybe write something, draw something, whatever they like, because this portfolio is for them. So yes, they already do a lot of writing, drawing in their different activities, but at least also let them do something on their own portfolio. It's just one time every 3 months. Also for assessment, there's another section for assessment which we do every 3 months. Not every 3 months, sorry, every 6 months. So when you go through the portfolio, I'm going through each month. Every 6 months, there's this box here, it's called assessment. Under this box, you just have to answer 2 questions. What outcomes have been achieved in the last 6 months? And which outcomes have not been covered and need more attention? So for assessment, you just need to look through the past 6 months outcomes and make a note which ones have been achieved. And then the ones which have not been achieved, you can make a note here that they need more attention. So you just need to fill this box once every 6 months. Okay, the next element says critical reflection. It says critical reflection on children's learning and development, both as individuals and in groups, drives program planning and implementation. So there's 2 kinds of reflection here: individual reflection and group reflection. For the group reflection, all of you are already doing group reflection in your monthly program book. You can see the bottom section there says reflection. That's your space where you can write some group reflection. A lot of times the educator just writes, all the kids enjoyed the activity. So this doesn't count as reflection. To do reflection, you need to think about the activity, which parts were good and they worked well, and which parts were not good and they didn't work well. That's a proper critical reflection. Sometimes some activities you do, there's some things which are not good or they didn't work well or you make some mistakes. So you need to learn from that. So next time you don't do the same thing. So that's the purpose of reflection. If everything worked well and there's no mistakes, you can just write about which things you did and how they worked well, how the children benefited. So if you write a good reflection every month, then we and you can get a good rating for this element, critical reflection. Also for critical reflection, we have the section of the portfolio called, which I just showed you now, the reflection section. So this is for each child's individual reflection. So we just went through this now a few minutes ago. So that means that both kinds of reflection, individual and group reflection, are being achieved. The group reflection you already do in your monthly program book, and the individual reflection you're going to do in this portfolio, in the observation. And you will do this reflection section every 3 months, just one time. Okay, the last element we're going to go to, information for families. So the last element is information for families. Families are informed about the program and their child's progress. So the government wants families to know about your program, and they should know about how their child is progressing in your service. Because you're looking after preschool children, there's a lot of things for the child to learn. For example, children may be learning how to walk. They might be learning how to talk. They might be learning ABC. They might be learning numbers. They could be learning colors. They could learn how to eat. There's so many things your preschool children are learning. Some of you teach children how to write. Some of you are teaching them how to spell. So you're doing a lot of good work. So the families need to be informed about this. Of course, all of you, you're already talking to the families every day. You're talking verbally when they pick up the kids, when they drop off the kids, and maybe you have some phone calls, and maybe you have some messaging on WhatsApp or texting. So that's all good. That's all information for families. But what we would like to do is have one small section in the portfolio for families to give a bit of feedback. And this is every 3 months. This is the section here, family feedback. The families can write, what do you think of your child's learning progress? What activities would you like to see your child doing? Have there been any changes to your child's routine, needs, personality, etc.? So the best thing is if you give the parent this page, they can fill it out in your service and put their initials and date. If they don't have time, and if they're not able to fill it out in your service, then you can just talk to them and then write down things for them over here. Write down what they tell you, and then you can write their initials and the date. So this part will be done every 3 months. Okay, so that's the end of the slideshow. Just to summarize what we're doing. So this is the new portfolio. The new portfolio is same as your old portfolio for preschool children. You do an observation every month. There's just been a few small changes. The profile section, it has now 6 extra pages for the child's personal characteristics, and the monthly observation, we've just added a few sections, and those few sections, they're not much extra work. This page, you just do one example once a month. This page, you're just going to do it once every 3 months, so 4 times a year. And then family feedback, you'll do once every 3 months, so 4 times a year. And the assessment section, which is over here, you're going to do once every 6 months, so twice a year. So it's not much extra work. And also, by the way, in your monthly programming book, we're actually going to get rid of one of the sections of your monthly programming book. I'll show you which section that is. So your monthly programming book has this page here. It's the 1, 2, 3. This is page 4. It's called monthly reflections. So from now on, you don't have to do this page. You can put a cross on this page. We're not going to do it anymore. You can just leave it blank. I know already it was not really being filled in. A lot of them were blank because parents were not putting feedback, and there's not much to write for the reflection. But now we're going to delete this page. You can just cross it off in your book, and these things we are doing elsewhere. All right, everyone. If you've been watching until now, thanks very much for your attention, and thanks very much for participating. So if you have any questions about this quality area, educational program and practice, please contact our office, send us a message. You can talk to us when you come to the office on timesheet day. And we're going to help you, as we go along, when we come for monthly inspection, when you come for timesheets, we'll help you and guide you to complete the programming. So thanks very much. Take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.